We are live. सब जगह रिमाइंडर्स डलवा देते हैं ना, बहुत पूरा एकदम फैला के रख देते हैं।
लाइव चैट अपनी फ़ोन में खोल लियो प्रखर।
राजवी स्क्रीन शेयर स्टार्ट कर दे। Rajvi, please share that PPT on your screen.
Yes, 1 minute.
We'll start in some time. Please, everyone, spread the word and ask your friends to join in. There are a lot of people who have doubts regarding graphic design, who want to know a lot about graphic design. So we'll start with that. We'll start in the next 5 minutes. Until then, please be active in the chat. If anybody wants to ask something, they can go through the chat. They can post whatever they want. We'll be starting next 2 to 3 minutes. Until then, please, everyone, call your friends. Rajvi, you can start. We can start from here.
Yes, so we are going to start now, and if I'm audible, please write yes or no in the chat box. Okay, all right. So, welcome to the graphic designing workshop by Cyberlabs. So, before this workshop, you might would have wondered what is design, right? So, design is a process of planning the creation of objects. And now, if you think, how does it differ from art? Then it is not drawing pictures. It is about problem solving and giving a compelling solution. And most importantly, design is not about making things just pretty for the sake of it. Every company and every team has their own understanding of what design is and what it should be. I hope this is clear to you all. And now, to give you an idea of the importance of graphic design, let us show you a very cool example of website whose traffic relies entirely on graphic design. So, Vanshika is going to present that. So that was some heck of a site, and you can totally imagine what it would have been without the designing aspects. Now, if you still think, why design? So it is a basic principle that is used to convey the message of what user wants to. So it can be applied to any design, whether it be graphic or UI UX. And now, hearing these words, graphic or UI UX, these are the two different fields of graphic designing, which also include architect designing, fashion, interior, etc. But we are mainly going to deal with graphic designing, UI UX designing, which stands for user experience and user interface design, and the aesthetic design of apps and website which you all see. All of these comes under UI UX design. So now moving
Rajvi,
forward.
I think your screen is not visible right now. Please share your screen.
Okay, yes. Sorry, wait a minute. So now moving forward, the obvious question that comes to our mind is, what are the platform or softwares that we can use to design the websites and applications? So first comes the Adobe Creative Cloud family, and the big three are Adobe Illustrator, that is commonly used for vector designing. Then comes Adobe Photoshop, that is one of the best Adobe software to design vector as well as raster images. And then there is Adobe XD, which is the tool for UI UX design. Now then comes Figma, Canva, and Sketch. Figma is a free software which also you can use in browser, which is used for UI UX design, and you can effectively collaborate with any team because it's obviously free and work on a browser. And then comes Canva, which is an online tool to edit graphics, and it is a very light and easy software. And then comes Sketch, which is a tool for UI UX design, and it is mostly used in Mac for Mac users. Now, before knowing, before coming to this graphic design world, you must know about some common terms used here. So let us have a look at these terms. And the very first term is alignment. It's the first impact of the design. While you probably won't notice the elements in a design are aligned, you will almost definitely notice when they aren't. It creates an invisible line in which content is placed. It just makes things look more valuable. And here are the basic four types examples of alignment. The first one is center alignment, where content is anchored down the middle. And then comes left alignment, where content is anchored to the left side of the screen. And then the third one, right alignment, opposite to the left one, where the content is anchored to the right side of the screen. And then the last one is justified alignment, where the content anchors evenly between two lines, means two ends of the screen. And this sometimes creates an uneven spacing between words, which can be difficult. And then comes the second term is contrast. It is all about making elements stand out. Contrast creates differences among the design elements. Areas of high contrast draw the user's attention first. So let me give you an example. Here you can see some screens, and on some screens you can easily read what the text, while on some you cannot. This is all because of the difference of the contrast between the text and the background. And, uh, let me show you. Let me show you an example of low or poor contrast. In this example, the templates are not easily visible or not easily identifiable uh, the because of the bad contrast. You are not able to separate the elements priorities. However, the start button, get started button, the call to action button has a fine contrast, but still having low contrast is not the answer. It is illegible, indiscoverable, and inaccessible. And now the third one comes is emphasis. This is the focal point of your design. And emphasis is
Rajvi, your slides are lagging a bit. I think you should slow down a bit. Everyone is saying that your voice is cracking. Just slow down a bit because the slides are lagging and your voice follows a little bit after that.
okay. So let me just fix this. So let me continue from here. The third point, emphasis. So emphasis is the focal point of your design. And an emphasis in a web page is a way to mark an element, emphasize its importance and significance, bring it into focus. Without a clear prioritization of objects, too many actions can be made, causing ripples in the vision. And if this becomes confusing, it creates a bad user experience. That's why, let me show you an example of this too. Emphasis generally could be with an area, content, text, link, image, or even a button, etc. So here is a simple example with different elements emphasized in their own way, like the text with the size and the color patterns, etc. Here, different elements has their different roles, so the emphasis is decided accordingly. Now, the fourth one is hierarchy. So, hierarchy is the direction to your design. Visual hierarchy is used to rank design elements and influence in the order which you want your users to view them. Is my voice still breaking?
Yeah, yes, Ajvi, actually, your voice is still breaking. Actually, can you go to Manchika and use her laptop to share the screen and speak? That would be great, I think.
Yes, yes, just wait a second.
Okay, we just 2 minutes. We are fixing the voice issue. Uh, it will just take a minute or two. Until then, whatever doubts anyone has up till now, everyone saw the first four important things from for graphic design. So, anybody has any doubt regarding that, or anyone has anything to say about that, what they understood, or anything else? Uh, yeah. Until then, everyone can comment in the chat box about what did they understand, and if anybody has any doubts, then that too can be done.
So now, am I audible?
Yes, Rajvi, you're audible, and voice is also coming
The
all
voice,
right.
you're right.
So yeah, so please share the screen.
Yeah, I have shared the screen. It's visible, right?
Yeah, now it's visible.
So we were on the fourth point, that is hierarchy, and it is the direction to your design. Visual hierarchy is used to rank design elements and influence in the order you want your users to view them. It can play a key role in the planning of your information architecture to help your users navigate to your product easier. So let me give you an example. See, this is one of the basic example of hierarchy. In this example, we can easily see that we navigate in a particular way just because the hierarchy was decided that way. That we first see the most important element, then the second most important element, then the least important element. So this this is the importance of hierarchy in any design. Then comes balance. So balance is a visual distribution of your design. Balance refers to the way visual elements are arranged so that their visual weight harmonizes with the other elements in the design, and the composition gives an appearance of properly distributed elements. So there are three basic types of balance. The first comes the symmetrical balance, and here is an example. This is this is a kind of mirror image balance example where you can easily identify the symmetry. And then comes the asymmetrical balance, which is also you can easily see in this design. And then the last one is radial balance, which relates to the elements that spread out from central point. So the whole design is radially balanced in a 360-degree manner. Now, then comes repetition. So repetition is about consistency in design. And repetition is the act of repeating the same or similar design elements and making them come together as a cohesive whole. We use repetition to create a sense of unity and consistency throughout the design. It can be of any type, like repeating the same color, typeface, shapes of elements of a design. So let me give you an example. In this example, you you can see this is an image, and let me ask you what you can identify what elements are repeated. Please answer it in the chat box.
Okay, Rajvi, until then, I'll start my screen share. And everyone, until then, you can write in the chat box about how do you see repetition here and what kind of repetitions do you see here. I can see a lot of them, and I would love if you do too. Cool. I'll share my screen then. Okay. So I hope everyone saw all the repetitions here. A lot of you are saying green and white color, yes. Shades, yes. There was one or two more kind of repetitions. You'll understand that in due time. Cool. So let's start with the color theory. Now, color theory is something that's very important in graphic design, and every single designer, whether you are a big designer, small designer, any kind of designer, you have to understand the color theory. Why do you have to understand the color theory? See, your eye perceives color the most. You have eyes, you perceive color the most. Every and each and every color shows a kind of mood. Each and every color sets a kind of mood. Why do you see why do you see danger signs as red? Because red color institutes danger in your mind or something that's very urgent. Why do you see why do you see green as the color of nature and everything? Because that too institutes the meaning of nature in your mind. So that is what color theory is. And in simple and basic words, we can say that we use color to communicate and influence interaction. Okay. Also, am I audible? I've said a lot of things. Am I audible right now? Please tell me in the chat box. Cool. We'll shift to the next slide now. Um, just a second. Yeah. So color models. Now, okay, thank you. So I'm audible. Great, great. So color models. Now, color models, there are a lot of color models in this world. Like since the invention of computer, even before the invention of computer, there were color models, and after the invention of computers, there have been newer and newer color models in this world. So one of the very old, not the oldest, one of the oldest color models is CMYK. Now CMYK represents cyan, magenta, yellow, and key means black. Now, I'll discuss about that in detail sometime later. But CMYK color model is used in print media. That's not most people don't use it in digital media. It's in your newspapers and books. Now the most commonly used color model is RGB, or red, green, blue, because these are the basic colors that your eye perceives, and these colors emit light. I mean, you will understand about that sometime later. It's not that easy. I know this is a little boring part, but you'll have to understand this. Yep, newspaper. Cool. Now, HSB or HSV, that too is used in digital media, hue, saturation, and brightness. A lot of photographers and photo editors would already know about these things, hue, saturation, and brightness. I'll explain that too later. But changing the hue, saturation, brightness values of any color gives a completely new color. You can also see there is some. You can also see these things. This photo that we have attached to color models. There are so many colors. Each and every color, like if I would go around here, I would generally consider it as yellow. I would just say that this is a yellow shade of something. But if you are a designer, you have to know, or at least you should know, that these are all different shades of different and different colors. Like this is butter, this is yellow, this is wasabi. So you have to know these things. Then comes grayscale. Now, grayscale, defining grayscale is really, really easy. Grayscale is just black and white. There are 254 shades between black and white. There are 256 shades in complete. One is black, one is white. The ones that are not black and white are 254 shades. So, of a photograph or a photo or a picture, if it is in grayscale, it has to be in completely black and white. All the 256 shades may be used in a photo, maybe not, but there's no problem. Okay, so let's shift on to the next slide. CMYK, as I told that I would be explaining CMYK, or cyan, magenta, yellow, black, later. So this is that later. Now, see, every color has values of each pigment when combined gives the color. I know nobody understood that. I'll explain. Any color that is used in print media, maybe your book or maybe the newspaper, any printer that you use actually prints in these four colors. If you zoom a photo very minutely, you will see cyan, magenta, yellow, and black only. There are no other colors used. When you change the amount of cyan, magenta, yellow, and black in a photo, K means key, that means black. It's an old terminology, so we use key, we don't use CMYB. So yeah, as I was saying, any printer uses these four colors only and only. If you zoom a photo a lot, you will see these four colors, and changing the values of these four colors mainly makes all the changes. If you change C, if you change Y, if you change M, if you change black, anything, you will get a completely new color. So that's all about CMYK. Also, there is a big difference between CMYK and RGB, and I'll let you all answer that in the chat box if anyone knows. I'm not expecting everyone to know, or anyone to know actually. But anyway, if anyone knows the difference between CMYK and RGB, please tell. There are a lot of points in the difference. Now, as I told, see, cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. This picture is very self-explanatory. How does these all colors mix up to create a main final print of the photo? Also, we have written how these color mix up to. Okay, exactly same what I said. Cool. I think everyone understood this slide. So I'll shift on to the next slide. RGB. Now, this is really important to whosoever was not paying attention until now. Please pay attention if you want to know about graphic design or you want to learn graphic design. RGB is really, really, really important because, see, each and every time you'll use Photoshop or any other software, this will be what you will be actually using. I know Photoshop has a different has a different default setting, but you'll be using this one. So RGB is red, green, and blue. These are the basic colors that your eye perceives. R, G, and B, anything, any single value change in red, green, or blue, you'll get a completely new color, which will have a completely new name, which will have a completely new code. So, as is written, used in digital media, each color has values of red, green, and blue up to 255. These, yeah. So, this terminology you'll have to learn, you have to remember from 0 to 255. There are values of R, G, and B, and a single number change in any of these values will give a completely new color. That's all you need to know about this. Cool. So next, let shift on now. HSB. HSB is not a very used color model, but still knowing about it is good. So hue, saturation, and brightness. Any change in hue or saturation or brightness or any of these combined will give a completely new color. This is another color model used for screens. That's all you need to know. Really, nobody uses RGB until sorry, nobody uses HSB. I'm so sorry. Nobody uses HSB until it's required to. Now these are the sliders: uh, hue, saturation, and brightness. Hue is a complete 360 circle. You can see it starts from red, it ends at red, and all the colors that you can think of, all the basic colors that you can think of, come in this hue. Then there's saturation, and then there's brightness. I change this, and I change this. Get a completely new color, and that is what I have been telling you for a long time now. So I'll skip this. What is hue? You should know as a graphic designer. You should know what hue is, what these terms are. So hue is basically the variety of a color. Hue has a complete 360 degrees circle of colors. Whatever you choose in between this will be a completely new hue or a complete different hue. So yeah, it's a rainbow of colors. That's all I'll say. Now this is something again really important. Now we have come to an advanced level of graphic design. I mean, not advanced. This is still the essentials, but still, these are one of the most important things that you have to keep in mind when you are designing. Typography. We have attached a really nice photo of the Joker around here. Why so serious? So, about typography, the strategic arrangement of type in order to make written language readable, and this is so much to speak now. I'll tell you what it actually is. Typography, while designing, anything that you do to the words, anything that you do to the letters, whatever you do to them while designing, it's typography. Whatever changes you do. Like you can see here, like nothing looks normal. Nothing is written like lines from left to right or like a heading. Everything is different, but still it looks good. And this is typography. That's it. I'll not speak a lot on this. Now, why is typography important? Typography too sets the mood. Just like color theory, as I told, just like color theory, colors set a mood. Just like that, typography set a mood. When you see red color, you think it's alarming. When you see blue color, you think it's cool. When you see green color, you think of nature. When you see violet color, you think of royalty and a lot of things. I cannot keep on counting what is that, but a lot of things like that. There's typography. I don't know if you know about the Comic Sans font, but if anyone knows about the Comic Sans font or any of these funky fonts, you can write in the chat box. I'd love to see how much our students know about the fonts that are used, or no, not fonts, typefaces. Once we'll get to an advanced level, we'll see the difference between fonts and typefaces too. Until then, you can keep calling it font. I don't have a problem. Nobody has a problem. So fonts matter. Just in this photo, you can see you'll always be mind that sounds so romantic in the upper photo, and you'll always be mind that sounds really horrific in the second photo. Both the both the lines are same exactly, but it creates a big difference. I see. It's not a very funny photo or a good meme, but it uh, it completes what we want to say. Yeah. So no Comic Sans. Parth Pandya. No comic. He said no Comic Sans. Comic Sans is not used generally because Comic Sans can be used, but it is not used generally because people don't really like funky designs or like which are a bit too funky. Most of the people like organized designs and something like that. I mean, you are in a multinational company, you won't be using Comic Sans or some handwritten font. You'll be using proper Montserrat or Helvetica, these kind of fonts. I'd love you all to search around what kind of typefaces are there, what kind of fonts are there, and because there are a lot of fonts and I cannot keep on counting them. Cool. We'll next shift to the next slide now. Just beside, I'm so sorry. Yeah. Now typography is done. Now we'll start with image types. Again, a very theoretical yet very important thing
Prakar, your
in
voice
graphic
is
design
breaking a
is
bit. Just ensure you're connected properly.
just a second. Um, Vanshika, I
It's
think.
fine now.
Uh,
It's fine now, I guess. It's fine.
did I miss something, Vanshika? I'm sorry.
No, the last sentence you spoke was broken. Now it's all right.
Cool. Oh, okay. So yeah, I'll repeat that. Image types. It's a very important thing. Vector and raster. I think a lot of you know about this already, but for me, when I was your at your point of time at this point of time in first year, I didn't know even a single thing about image types, which is not a big problem. I'll tell you why. Now let's assume you just took a photograph. What uh, in which image type would I place that photograph? Vector or raster? This question is for those who already know about this. Uh, I would love to know your comments in the chat box. So raster images. Let's talk a bit about raster images. I took a photograph. I put it in the raster images column. Why? If I zoom into the photographs, I'll see pixels. See the pixels cracking. While if it was a vector, that wouldn't happen. It's a very easy thing. I'll explain it again. I took a photograph. I'll call it raster, a raster image. Because if I zoom into the image, the pixels will start cracking. I'll see different colors easily. While if it was a vector, it would be created through a mathematical formula. Uh, is everyone understanding this? A vector, vector photograph. Sorry, not a photograph. Sorry, just a second. A vector image type doesn't have pixels. It is created with mathematical equations. So if you zoom into that, it won't crack. Then the difference between both of them is a raster image is generally created through um, raster based softwares like Photoshop or a normal camera photo that you see, while the vector photos are created through uh, Adobe Illustrator or Adobe XD and things like that. We'll explain this in even more detail in the coming sessions. But for a basic thing, you can remember that raster is an image that you take from a camera, and vector is an image type that um, that gets created through mathematical formulas or mathematical equations. That's it. Cool. Now next, let's shift on to the next slide. Yeah, as I told, you can see here whenever there's a raster image, I'll zoom in and I'll start seeing pixels like this. The image will get blurry. I'll see the pixels. While if it was a vector image, I'll keep zooming in. I'll keep zooming in, but still, it won't crack. It would be something like that only. That's the point. You'll explain it in some. You'll understand it in some time if you haven't already understood, and that's no problem. And if you still have doubt over this, because a lot of people have doubt over vector and raster, even though it's explained many times, if you still have any doubt, it's not a big thing. You can ask in the chat box. There are moderators to answer that. Cool. So let's shift on to the next image. Oh, okay. So this is a typography meme. uh, this is a typography meme in the sense, as I just told you, typography is very important. How do you place the things? How do you keep organize the things? Everyone likes organized design. You can see this. This is a really, really bad design. This is a really unorganized design. There's no leading space. There's no proper spacing between the words. This will give your graphic designer friends a heart attack or a migraine. Anyway, this is one example of a bad design, and you have to keep these things in mind. There are a lot of things in mind that Rajvi told already. All the basic things you have to keep in mind while designing. Actually, with practice, you'll know about them. I mean, you won't have to again and again think about contrast or typography or spacing. They'll just come on their own way. Cool. So yeah, I think Vanchika will take over from here. Vanchika, please share your screen.
Okay, so am I audible?
Yep, you're on.
Okay, just a minute. So is my screen visible?
Yep, your screen is visible.
Okay, so I'll walk you through the fields which are available in graphic design. The fields which make up the graphic design world. The first one is product design. Every simple to complicated product you see, like the simplest product, the Coca-Cola bottle, which has become so iconic over the years, is a part of product design. Then comes logo design and branding, which involves creating an identity or perception for a brand. Then comes UX and UI design, which stands for user experience and user interface design. I'll not give you the details right now. We'll go through it in detail at a later stage. Then comes print design. The brochures you see or the magazines, everything which is on paper is basically a part of print design. Okay, then we have motion graphic design. The name very clearly suggests graphics which are not static, which are in motion, are a part of this branch, and it involves all the commercials or all the cartoon animations that you see. Then comes marketing design, which involves designing in collaboration with the marketing team for a company. Like you gather audience and publicize the motto or the strategies of the company through marketing design. Okay, then we have lettering and typeface design. Um, so the typefaces and fonts that you see, they involve a lot of rules while designing. Lettering or typeface design covers all of them. Okay, so we'll not be visiting each one of them in detail. We'll be covering logo design and UX and UI design in a while. So am I clear? Should I move forward? Okay, I guess there's no problem. Okay, now we come to logo design and branding. A logo acts as a brand's face, allowing people to connect with it and remember it. Your logo design identifies your business in its simplest form using a logo mark, typographic solution, or combination of both. Okay, you don't need to freak out seeing all these terms. I'll explain all of them in detail. So, I guess every one of us knows that a logo for a company creates a visual identity. Like, for example, whenever you see a bitten apple image, you always remember the Apple company, right? So what is branding? Does anyone of you know what branding is? Please write it in the chat box if anyone of you even has the slightest idea about branding. Okay, okay. I see answers popping up. No, it's not marketing. It's related to design. Okay, okay. So, okay, let me move forward. Okay, I'll explain branding in a while. First, we'll move through the rules which you need to keep in mind while designing a logo for a company. So the first one is color flexibility. Your logo should work well in black and white, which is monochrome printing. And if it doesn't look good in black and white, it won't look good in any color. Because, for example, if you see Apple again, the Apple logo is printed on a number of products. Even Google's logo, all its merchandise contains the logo, and it can be printed on a variety of surfaces. Now, the surface could be dark, it could be light. So your logo should be reproducible in a variety of color schemes, like the original colors, and then there should be a version for light backgrounds and one for dark backgrounds. It should be clearly visible in a monochrome color scheme too. Okay, so the next one is simplicity. Okay, so simple logos are recognized faster than complex ones, which is very, very obvious. Strong lines and letters show up better than the thin ones, and clean, simple logos reduce and enlarge much better than the complicated ones. Okay, so a very iconic example is the evolution of the Starbucks logo. It was very complicated, as you can see in the 1970s, and then they started to simplify it, and over time, it has been just reduced to this middle part, which was again simplified in 1992. So it's very obvious that the more complicated the logo, the more difficulty people will face in remembering it, right? Okay. So the third one is scalability. It should be aesthetically pleasing in both small and large sizes in a variety of mediums. A good rule of thumb is the business card or billboard rule. Your logo should look good on both. So, as I mentioned earlier, your logo has to be reproduced in a variety of sizes and has to be printed on a variety of products. Something as small as a pen and something as large as a life-size billboard, right? So your logo should not look absurd in any of the sizes. Like if you make your logo too much detail like this one, the logo of Starbucks in 1970s, the more you scale it down to smaller sizes, the more difficult it becomes for the user to read it, right? So keep it as simple as possible, add as much little details as you can, right? Okay, so moving forward. Okay, we have the fourth rule, which is design style should suit the company, which is very, very obvious. Research your client and its audience before you begin your preliminary work. You can use various design styles when creating a logo, and to pick the right one, you should have some background information about the client and the brand. Okay, for example, for a tech giant, you can't design a logo which contains a cartoon and some very fun looking or childish fonts, right? You need to keep the identity of the brand in mind because the people are going to recognize your brand and its feel through your logo. Okay. So the next one is the hidden surprise, which is more of like a brownie point. It's not a rule, but basically a brownie point. You should remember it. Another element that works very well in creating a memorable logo is to build into it something which gives it an aha moment. Okay. So here we have some examples of this hidden surprise. The Amazon logo creates a smile as well as an A to Z element, which signifies that Amazon has everything you need from A to Z. FedEx has a hidden arrow. Then Baskin Robbins has 31, which signifies the 31 flavors that it started with. Toblerone logo has a bear hidden. Then there's a cycle hidden here, bicycle. Then Picasa, which is casa is I guess a Spanish word. I'm not sure. It's a Spanish or Italian word for home. So they have a hut logo hidden inside the main logo. So that's it. Okay. Then we come to an example of a very bad logo design. I've told you all the rules. I'd like any one of you to guess it in the chat box. What all problems do you see in this logo? This logo was originally for a heart surgeon. Okay, so why is this a bad logo design? Can any one of you guess it? I'd really like to see answers popping up. Aryan, you got it right. Okay, the major reason is the coffin. I was going to ask this, what does this shape resemble? Right. Okay. Okay, Athreya says dark background issue. Okay, can be a reason. Gives it a horrific look. Then grave-like rest. Yes, Shubham, you're correct. Horrifying effect, Kavya, you're correct. Red and black sign of danger, again correct. It reminds of death by black color and blood loss by red. Correct, Ganesh. Ganesh, you're right. Blood image, right, you're right. So yes, you guessed it all correct. So, right. Just avoid creating any design which completely changes the perception of the client you're designing for, right? No one would like to see a coffin in a doctor's design, right? Okay, so moving forward. Okay. Okay, in the starting, I asked what is branding. So I would like to reiterate that branding is logo is basically creating a symbol for a brand, while branding is creating an overall look and perception using that logo, using the colors, using some elements from that logo. Okay, I'll present some projects which will make it more clear. Just a minute. Just a minute. Is my screen visible?
Yep, now it's visible.
Okay, fine. Okay, so this was a rebranding and logo designing project created by a final year senior from Cyberlabs itself. Okay, this is for a tech company called Appness. And as I mentioned, your logo should be compatible in 2 to 3 color schemes. Like this is for a dark background. This is the original logo. This is the dark background variable, and this is for a light background. Okay, so this is the color palette which has been used in the logo. You have to define it very clearly because the brand has to has to keep those colors consistent with all its products, right? Okay, so one thing that we forgot to mention in the color theory was these hex codes. Just a minute. Yeah, these hex codes. Now, when you enter the graphic design world, every color is identified using some codes, which are 6-digit codes called hex codes, hexadecimal codes. These are decided on the basis of the RGB values, as Prakhar mentioned. Okay. So these were some custom gradients which were created for the logo itself using 2 colors. Gradients are basically the smooth merging of 2 colors, if anyone of you doesn't know. Okay. So the typography is also well defined because the brand has to keep it consistent. As Rajvi mentioned, repetition is very necessary for a brand. So they'll be using this font whenever they'll be branding their products or anything. Okay, so Montserrat is mentioned once, but Lato is mentioned thrice. Why? Because 3 weights of this font Lato has been used. One is the regular one, then comes a little bolder one, then comes the boldest. Okay. So now comes branding. The logo was created, fine. Now the overall look and feel of the brand has to be created using that logo. So these swirls were picked using the same gradient which was used in the logo mark, and it's used on all their products, which keeps it consistent. Like whenever you'll see these spirals, you'll recognize that the product is from Appness. So that is why branding is important. Okay. All its products have the logo and the same consistent colors. Again, an example of repetition. Okay. We'll be sharing these projects in the chat box a little later. I'll present another project, just a minute.
Until then, if anybody wants to ask something in the chat box is open, or anybody wants to discuss something in a chat box, that would also be all right.
Okay, so is my screen visible?
Yep, yep, yep.
Okay, so this is a logo that we created for the Inter IIT Tech Symphony, which is basically an amalgamation of 13 IITs for different technical events and all. Okay, so yeah, it's basically a letter mark with S and T, which stands for Tech in Symphony. And it was very various geometrical elements were combined to make the S. And yes, the two color variants, as I earlier mentioned, it should be compatible on a variety of backgrounds. The typography, we used STR for Tech Symphony and Event Horizon for Inter IIT. The three colors that we used, these two colors were merged to form a custom gradient. And this is a mock-up. Mock-ups are basically products on which you place your final design, like how your final design would look on a real life product is what is shown in a mock-up. That's it. Okay,
Okay,
so I'll
so
be explaining the types of logo in a while. Just a minute, I'll share my screen again.
cool.
Okay. So now you have a basic idea of what logo designing and branding is. I'll walk you through the various types of logos that are available in the graphic design world. So the first one is monograms and lettermarks, which involve directly the name of the brand which you're designing for. For example, HBO, then IBM. These logos directly have the brand in different typefaces, and those have been tweaked a bit to match the needs of the company and the client. The second one is pictorial marks. It doesn't have any text. It only has an icon-like image in the logo. For example, Apple and Twitter. Then comes the abstract logo marks, which is different from pictorial marks in this sense that pictorial marks do have a meaning associated with the brand name or the brand features, right? But Pepsi's logo, as you can see, Adidas logo, as you can see, it doesn't have anything to do with sports, right? So yes, it's an abstract type, but it has over time it has become an identity for the brand. Anywhere you'll see these three leaves kind of thing, you'll identify that the product is from Adidas, right? Okay. So the next one is mascots, that you create a personification of the brand. For example, KFC, and then this Mr. Peanut. You basically create a character which signifies the whole identity of the brand. Then comes the combination mark, which is basically, as the name suggests, a combination of all the previous types that I've mentioned. For example, Burger King. And then we have emblem. Emblem is basically for clients or companies who have a classy feel associated with their brand. For example, Starbucks. It has, you know, the text is merged with the image in such a way that it forms an emblem kind of thing. So that's it for the types of logos. Then Prakhar will continue with UX and UI design now.
Cool. Okay. Thank you, Vanchika. And now let's switch on to the a very important session that is about UI and UX design. I'll share my screen now. Everyone, please tell me if my screen is shared. Just a second. Just a second. Yep. Is my screen visible, Vanchika?
Just a minute, it's buffering.
Cool. Okay. So I think my screen is visible now.
Yes.
Introduction to UI and UX design, or UX and UI design. Now, I think most of you know about this. At least most of you know about the full forms of UI and UX design. If so, for the people who don't know, I know there are a lot of them. It's user interaction design and user experience design. Both are not the same thing. There's a very big line. There's not even a thin line. There's a very, very, very big line between user interaction design and user experience design. If someone knows already about the difference, they may write in the chat box, or otherwise, I'm here to help. So, about user interaction design, all the websites and all the Android applications and everything that you see are all the things and how everything is placed that you see is because of user interaction design. Now let's think about Swiggy, or let's think about Instagram, or let's think about Facebook, anything, how well everything is placed and how easy is it to scroll through those. That is all because of user experience design. So I'll repeat what I said. User interaction design is how everything looks in an application or in a website. While user interaction design is all about is all about why everything is placed something like that. Like you have a thumb and you are not able to reach a button with that thumb. You will instantly get frustrated if you have to again and again switch your hands while using an application. Maybe the application looks very, very beautiful. Maybe its user interaction design or UI design is very, very great. But you will get frustrated because its user experience is really bad. You'll uninstall that application. So, all that code of months or maybe years, and all that user interaction design that the designer made, it all goes to waste in just 3 taps, and the user uninstalls the application. Everything, all the hard work goes to waste if the user experience design is not good. And of course, as we say that jo dikta hai wahi bikta hai, what you see is what you buy. User interaction design has to be good. Your app has to look organized. Your application or website has to look beautiful. So that's all about UI and UX. I'll show some good and bad examples of user interaction design. I'll show some examples, and you'll know all about what is in UI and UX design. So I'll read this one thing. In web and app development, UI design and UX design are the building blocks of creating easy to use and accessible product. This line is very self-explanatory. I don't need to explain it any further. So cool. So this, as everyone can see, this is a government website. You can, if this is a very, very bad example of UI and UX design. Everyone can see this is a government website, Bureau of Police Research and Development, BPR&D. It comes under the Ministry of Affairs. You can, this is their website. This is the real-time website. You can see, I don't think the code is written well. And as you can see, it doesn't look beautiful in any manner. It completes whatever task it has been assigned, whatever meaning it has, but you won't like it. You won't scroll through it. You will just cross it. That's it. You will just you won't like using that website. So we kind of redesigned that website. I'll show what we did. This is a case study about the wrongs of that website and about what we could do well, or what we could change in that website. So yeah, let's move on here. I won't be explaining each and everything. It's a very, very long presentation. So I'll just scroll through that. So in the first page, we just tell about what do we do and how did we do that, and a little about everything. Now we first show them the new design template about how our website is much better than theirs. We show them some mock-ups. We show them our designs and how we did them, how good they look in front of their website. Cool. We show them some mock-ups about the application website too. Now, these are some things that you will have to create while making a case study about the rights and wrongs of a website. Everything you will have to write a lot of lectures, a lot of things. Cool. Now, the main thing about this is how do you design the design process? How do you think? What is your thought process while designing? You see, you see a website, you know it has a lot of glitches, you note them, and then what is your thought process of correcting them? That is user experience design. So again, there's a lot of things in this. There are a lot of problems and a lot of solutions in this. Some as you can see, the old one looked something like this. When it got redesigned, it looked something like this. The whole photo and video gallery, so these things make up a better website, and the user that is using the website won't directly just close the website. So this is a case study that you will make if you get into UI and UX design. And now we start with the problems and solutions of the website. I know this is a lot to take in, but this is what UI and UX design is about, and it's and believe me, it's very very interesting once you start doing it. It's I won't say it's easy, but once you start doing it and you get practice of it, you'll like it. That's the thing. So there are a lot of problems and a lot of solutions in there. You can see we list a problem here, what the old website had a problem, and then we give the solution and the design of how we solved it. So this is all about the case study, and yeah, that's all about how you make a case study. Again, a lot of slides and a lot of things listed at once. Cool. So we'll get back to our no, wait, okay.
I'll show another case
Yeah,
study, Prakhar.
cool. Vanchika will take over from here. I'll stop my screen share.
Just a minute, I'll share my screen. Is it visible?
Yeah, it's visible.
Okay. So this is a case study by a pre-final year student from our division. So this involves redesigning Instagram. Almost all of us are familiar with the UI of Instagram, the user interface. Okay. So it begins with mockups, which I already mentioned are real life representations of your design. And okay. So, why redesign? The first question that comes to your mind is Instagram is being used globally. Why do we need to redesign it? Okay, so the problem was the present design of Instagram web is not presentable and doesn't compel users to use the web app version. Also, the app version needs tweaking. Okay, so we'll walk through the problems in detail. The process involves a number of steps. I'll explain them one by one. Research, user persona, then journey map, then information architecture, user flow, wireframe, UI, and whatnot. Just don't get intimidated. I'll explain them one by one. Okay, so the first one is user research. It basically deals with the problems that your users are facing and why your product needs a redesign. Okay. Okay. So when we conducted a user research, we found out there were some problems which were common among many users, and these are some of them. Okay, so yes, then we listed those problems in the web app and also in the mobile application. Some of them were the absence of cover photos, and then the feature to put any web link is not there. You have to separately put it in the description, and all of these were solved, and the solutions were proposed. A new and better UI of web app is designed after conducting user research and carefully plotting the empathy maps along with analyzing the user pain points, right? And all of them. Okay. Okay. Now comes user persona. User persona is basically creating a fictional character which has characteristics that match your target audience. For example, Instagram is mostly used by teenagers and young adults, right? So you already know what are the common interests and what is the taste basically of teenagers. So we created two profiles, one of a boy and one of a girl. Again, I'll reiterate that these are fictional characters, and their profile is created. Their goals and their frustrations with the current design are listed, that you gathered using the user research. And so that's it about the user personas. Then comes the project timeline, which walks you through the entire process of the redesign. The first one was discovery. You came across a lot of pain points among the users pertaining to the current design. Then comes definition. You bring in UX design, you start to solve their problems and propose some solutions to it, and bring ideas. Then comes the designing part and delivery part, where you resolve those pain points using your design and deliver it to the targeted audience. Okay, now comes Instagram X, the redesigned version of Instagram, which deals with all the issues and problems that we had gathered. The typography and colors of the project, as I've shown you earlier. Then comes user flow, which basically explains how you walk through that app and how you walk through your product. Okay. Now comes wireframing. Wireframing deals with uh, placing of your elements and images, but it doesn't deal with the details of your design, the color scheme, the typography. Nothing is dealt with in wireframes, but it only deals with the placement of your elements. It can be on paper and it can be on screen. In a while, I'll walk you through my design process and in Figma, which is a software which is used for UX and UI design. And you can create a high fidelity wireframes in Figma too. These are on paper. Okay. Okay. So the problems that I discussed earlier are now being mentioned in a graphical form, in a visual form. Okay. Now comes the high fidelity mockup. Mockup, as I already mentioned, is the final touch of your design on a real life product. And as someone mentioned that there's a lot of negative space, white space remaining on the site, which is not being put to use. So that was resolved in our design. And then cover photos were introduced, as one of the users mentioned that it is a pain point among users. The same old concept, but a new design. This is the old design, and the problems are being highlighted here. And this is the redesigned Instagram X. The features that have been added. Okay, dark theme of the entire design. Okay, so that's it. All right. So this has been a little monotonous. I know we were like theoretically guiding you. Now, for some hands-on experience, I'll walk you through my design process in Figma. So Figma is basically a UX and UI design software, which is on browser. Just a minute, I'll share my screen. You don't need to download a separate application. It's available on browser, which makes it very user-friendly. Just a minute.
Until then, everyone can write their doubts in the chat box until the screen is getting shared. I know UI and UX is a bit intimidating for everyone. So if you have any doubt or anything to talk about, you can write in the chat box.
there is some issue from our end. Just wait for a minute.
Okay, okay. So I don't see any doubts up till now. I don't. If everyone understood what was going on, that's really great. All about typography, all about user interaction design, the difference between user interaction design and user experience design. If everyone really understood that, I would love you all to write something about what you understood. Just two lines each. That would be great. What you understood, because I don't think anybody has a doubt. Okay, okay. So as Vanshika said, well, before motion graphics, someone asked, could you show some more example of UI and UX mistake and its rectification too? See, there are a lot of design mistakes, and you'll learn about it once you start designing and once you start getting into all of these things. I'll okay, wait. I'll screen share and show some of the design mistakes that we saw in that website, which in the BPRD website, which we redesigned. I think that was a bit quick for you all. That was I skipped some things, so okay, I'll show some things. Cool. Mm, okay, I'll show one of these. Otherwise, it will take a lot of time, and you all get bored because it's very government type thing. So okay, so in the old website, if you see, as I've written, in current app view or the current application view, the banner or the main page of the website or the site is at the middle of the page between gallery and what's new. So in the old website, this is a screenshot of the old website, BPRD mobile website. The page starts, you see a media gallery, you see what's new, and then suddenly there's something important going on in between. For me, I would just say I would generally skip this part. I mean, I wouldn't even know if this is important or not. And then there's a solution which we designed is keeping the main part. You see Modi in here, keeping the main part at the top of the page and designing everything else down below. Now it's easy to see. There's important notes. Yep. There's what. Yep. And I can see that one more important thing is right here. Now let's skip for one more solution. In the menu bar of the application version, there are some problems like not opening menu bar properly and showing two menu options and icon selection was not good. Now this problem is in a lot of websites because when you have like 20 options in your menu bar, there will be a problem, of course, because well, a lot of things when they come together, they create chaos. But with the knowledge of user experience design, with the knowledge and practice of user experience design, you can solve these problems. Now, here one by one things keep opening, and you don't know what I had come to see. In this, I'll click this, and again something like this will open. Like I click home, I'll get to the main home page. If I click about us, there will be two to three more options which will open in an right here in an animated opening, and there'll be some different color, and it will be easy for me to scroll through those. And before I skip to another part, I'll show what the actual design looked like. So as I already told, this is the new design. I'll zoom in a bit, just a second. Okay, I cannot zoom. Cool. So this is the new design. Everything is in proper spacing. Everything looks proper. The important things are at the front. The non-important things are at the side. Then you can see here there is the this is the navigation bar, or well, the what you say, the menu bar. Everything is very organized. What you have to do, what you don't have to do. So it's easy to navigate through everything. Cool. So cool. I think Vanchika's problem has been solved. So I'll add her again. And this was all about that design proposal. Uh, add to see. Cool.
Am I
So,
audible?
yep, you're audible.
Okay. Just a
So,
minute. I'll share
Vanchika,
my
would
screen.
you like to take the Figma workshop right now?
Yeah. I
Cool,
will.
cool, cool. Cool.
Okay.
So, everyone, please pay attention. This is a very important software, Figma, in UI and UX design. One of the most important softwares and one of the most widely used softwares. Even I would say Adobe XD is a bit outdated now. Switching to Figma is the best option. So, anyone who's starting UI UX design, please go with Figma rather than having any other.
Yep. So I'm on my browser. You guys can open figma.com and start signing up, or maybe you can watch me right now, watch the tutorial right now, and you can follow up later after the session ends, right? So I've already logged in, and here's how you start a new design file. You see the button here, and yes. So it's completely browser friendly, but I do have the web application, and I'd like to switch to the web application since I have my files there. You guys can continue in the browser itself. Okay, just a minute. I'll stream the app.
Vanchika, could you please share your screen again? I think.
Yeah. I'll stream the app.
Oh, cool, cool, cool.
Okay. Is it visible?
Um, yeah, wait. Yeah, it's visible right now.
Okay. Okay, so I'm creating a new design file. Okay. So I'll guide you a bit through the UI.
Vanchika, actually,
The
just wait. Can you completely? I think the middle part was missed. Actually, can you show them how did you open Figma again? I think they
just a
missed
minute.
that.
Just a minute. Okay. So I'm on my browser window. You guys need to go to figma.com and sign up with your mail. I've already signed up. So after signing up, it opens up this screen, which is your dashboard. And you can start a new design file right from here. Uh, I'd like to mention that you can watch the tutorial right now and you can try it yourself after the workshop ends. You won't be able to do them simultaneously. All right. So now I'm switching to the app. Just a minute, I'll share my screen. Yep. So after clicking on the new design option, I landed up on this page and it has these tools right here. This one is my move tool, which I'll use to navigate through my objects and move them throughout my screen. This is the frames button. I'll select my frame on which I'd like to work on the right side after clicking on this frame option. So I'd like to create an app screen. So maybe I'll go for iPhone 13 Pro. Yep. So this gives me a blank frame for my design. Okay. Now we have this polygon tool, which has a number of options again when you click on this drop down menu. And then comes this pen tool, which I'll explain in a while. This is the text tool for adding fonts. And this is the hand tool, which which is used for moving around the screen. It doesn't move the element, but it helps you move through the screen and view your elements from different points. But you'll hardly use this since it has a shortcut. While you are on your move tool or any other tool, you can press your space bar and move through the screen to navigate using the hand tool, right? And this is the comments, which I'll explain in a while. They're not needed right now. Okay, so that's it. Please don't be intimidated. I know you may be completely new to this, but you'll get comfortable after some time. Okay, just a minute. Yep. So when I click on this frame, I get these hell load of options. These are the coordinates for the frame. You don't need to bother about them right now. Then there's these layouts and grids, which are again not needed right now. And I have this fill option, which will help me pick the color for my background. I'll select a very dark version of gray, almost black. Done. Yep, that's it. This is my background for my first screen. And then I have a logo. Just a minute. I'm pasting the image directly using Control C and Control V. I created this logo a while ago using Adobe Illustrator, but I obviously can't walk you through the process because of the time constraints. Maybe sometime later. Okay. So this is the logo for my company, which I created using Adobe Illustrator, and I'm moving it using the Move tool. Right. Okay. So now I'd like to add a welcome prompt here. I'll use my text tool for creating a text box, and then I'll probably add welcome exclamation mark. Okay. So when I click on this element, I again get a hell load of options here. Under the design tab, you need to ensure that you're on the design tab, right? Okay, so I'd like to change the typeface. Maybe just a minute. Lato would work. Lato. I'd like to increase the text size too. Okay, that's a bit too much. Nope. Yep. I'd like to change the fill color to not absolute white, but a lighter version of gray, I guess. Yes, this one. I need to center it. Figma has these smart guides which let you place your elements, which let you align your elements very smoothly. Okay. Done. Okay, now I'll probably want to ask my user if he wants to log in or sign up. So I'll be creating two separate buttons for the same. I'll use this polygon tool, and from the drop down menu, I'll select a rectangle. Now I'll drag and drop a rectangle here. I'll center it using the guides. Yep, it is centered. Now we have these coordinate points here. This is the x coordinate, which will help me move my object, which I don't want at the moment. So Control Z, undo. And this y coordinate moves it up and down. Width and height changes its dimensions. Then this angle rotates it, which again I won't like to. So Control Z. Just a minute. Yep. Yes. And this is for the rounding of the corners. The moment I bring my cursor to this icon, it changes to this double-headed arrow, and when I drag, it starts increasing my rounding value. Okay, so as you can see, my corners have been rounded now. Right. So I'll make this a little darker, this color, but in a little darker tone. Yep, perfect. Okay, now I'll add a bit of text in a smaller size, of course. And up, yep. Center alignment. These buttons are used for toggling your alignment. I'd like to keep it center aligned. And I guess it's not that readable. I'll increase the font size a bit. Yep. And I'll now Figma very intelligently picks up the colors that you've already used in your document, and you can find them here. So I'll keep my colors consistent and use this color for filling up the text. Okay. So now I'd like to copy this button, and I'm copying it using Alt and my right click. Don't worry, you will start remembering these shortcuts after a little bit of practice. And I'll copy the text too. Yes. Again. So you'll always see that for websites, the sign up button is a bit more highlighted as compared to login, because for new users, you always want them to click on the sign up button first, right? So this has to be by center of attraction, following the hierarchy of the design. So I'll put a gradient probably, just a minute. Okay, so I clicked on fill. Till now, I was using the solid fill, which means I'm using a single color for the entire element. But now I'll be selecting linear, which means I'll be using a linear gradient. The first color in my gradient would be something related to orange, which is consistent with my logo. So I guess that is okay. And the second color would be pinkish, a little pinkish. Okay, so this is the transparency panel. This is 0% opaque and this is 100% opaque, and you can slide it as you want. I'll keep it 100%. Okay. And I'll probably want to rotate that gradient. So I'll bring this here and this here. Yep. So I'll get a horizontal, smooth horizontal gradient using this. Okay. Now what you see is that the sign up is not that readable, which will lead to a bad user experience. So I'll make it a little darker. Yep. And bold it out probably. Yep. So these are the weights of my typeface. Regular, medium, semi-bold, bold. I'll make it bold. For login too, I'll make it bold. Yes. And this isn't that visible, so I'll probably add a stroke to it. Stroke means basically an outline. Okay. So this is by default added a black stroke, but I'd like to change it. And again, I'll give it a linear gradient, which will be consistent with my previous gradient. I'll select orange and then I'll select pink and make it 100% opaque. Yep. Okay, this is too thin. I'll increase the thickness of the stroke using this option. And while I scroll, oh, this is too thick. Yep, perfect. Even for login, I'll give it the same gradient. Not solid, but linear gradient. The first color will be the same orange. The second color will be the same pink. Yep, we're done. Okay. Now I'd like to create a second screen which will open up when a person clicks on login. Yes. For this, I selected the complete frame. Then I'll click on Alt, which is used for copying objects. While pressing Alt, I'll drag it to a different location, and ta-da, I have a new screen right now. I'll remove all these elements since I don't need them. Probably take this a little away for clarity. And I'm moving through my screen using the space bar. I'll press space and simultaneously click and drag my objects so as to view them from a different point of view, right? Okay. So now I have my pen tool, which I skipped when I was explaining these tools. Yep. So pen tool is used for creating freehand vectors. Just a minute. I'll draw it and explain it to you. Okay. I clicked here. I got a point. Now I click. Now I'll be clicking at another location. I'll get a line segment. Then again, click, click. Yep, you're done. And then I'll press escape to get the final shape. Yes. And I'd probably like to round up the corners. Yes. I'll enlarge it using shift. Okay, so let me explain it clearly. If I enlarge this without using shift, I can change the proportions of my object on the basis of how I take my arrow. Okay. Of course, you don't want to change the shape when you're enlarging it. So Control C. The trick to avoid this is press shift while you're dragging the handles to enlarge on it. So in Figma, whenever an object moves out of frame, it's automatically clipped from that. Okay, when you come near this handle, you will see this double-headed arrow with a slight curve, which is used to rotate the object. Yes, so I'd like to round it more. Now you'll see I have no fill here, so I'll add a fill and make it the same gradient. The first color would be orange, the second one would be pink. Yep, we're done. And probably this orange should be here, and I'll shift the pink a little bit here. Yep, we're done. Then I'll probably need a circle. It's all about experimenting. Like you can go on adding elements like that you like, but do remember that your user should be comfortable reading all your information. For example, I changed the font size and font color because it wasn't that readable. So just keep all these things in mind. Again, a linear gradient, orange and pink. Done. Just a minute. Yes, I've changed the spread of my gradient. Perfect. I like this screen. Okay, so I'm back at my pen tool and I'm going to create an abstract shape again. The pen tool is a little bit difficult to master, so you'll get used to it with a little bit of practice. Yep, done. Oh, okay, what happened? It automatically gave me rounded corners because my previous shape had rounded corners. Okay, so I'd like to keep it a little rounded, not too much, but yes, a little. Yep. I'll add up a fill, which will be the same color, no, not black, the same dark gray that I use for login, consistency in design. Oops, escape. Done. I'm done editing this box, and I'll probably like to keep this corner sharp. So I'll click on this image, this element, and then I'll double click on it again to enter the editing mode. Then I'll click on this point to select this point specifically and reduce the rounding to 0. Done. Okay, it has a stroke, which is giving it kind of a cartoonish look. I'll remove the stroke using this minus button. Done. Okay, done. Yes. Probably give it a shadow in the effects section. Drop shadow, I'd like to edit that shadow. I'd like to increase the X coordinate a bit and then increase the blur too. Yep, that's it. Okay, then I'll duplicate my logo using Alt and drag and make it a bit smaller because sorry, I didn't use shift. Make it a bit smaller using shift so that it doesn't get deformed. Yes, I'm centering it right now. Done. Okay, then I'll add an input box for the username, which will go like this, and rounded corners for a clean look. Then I'll make the color a bit darker, keeping my design consistent. Nope, this isn't darker. Okay, I'll give it the same color and instead give it a drop shadow so that it is visible. Yes. This is again, I'll increase the opacity of the shadow to 50%. Yes, it's visible now. And I'll add the username label to it. Size will be probably 14 points. I'm using the same typeface Lato that I used in the first screen. I'll left align it with my box so that it looks neater. And I'll change the fill to my light gray again. Yep. Now I'll copy these two elements. I'll select both of them using, I'll select the first one, then I'll press shift and click on this to get both of them. And now pressing alt, I'm duplicating them. Yep. So I'll edit this to password and shift this probably a bit. Then, okay, I'll increase the font size. Selecting both of them using shift and increasing the font size to 18. And I'll copy this here, decrease the font size and make it the forgot password prompt. Okay, I'd like to add an underline to it. I'm selecting these options from the text, which will show me the remaining options, and I'll probably add an underline. Yep, neat. Yes. Make sure that they are all aligned. Yes, they're all aligned. Okay, then I'll add a login button. Okay, that login button, okay, it's right aligned. This login button has to be my call to action button. I mean, this button is the one that I want my user to have a look at the first glance. So I need to highlight it. I'll remove the, oh wait, I'll give it a gradient. Shit, linear. And I'll get rid of the shadows using the spiders button and copying this text, changing the fill to darker gray and editing this to become login. Yes, this is centered and I'll make it bold. Yep. Okay, so here there's a lot of negative space. Negative space means the white space that is not being used. It's not necessarily white in all the cases, but yes, the space which has been left empty. So I'll fill this up using these vectors, which I had downloaded before this workshop. Okay, so I'm copying them and putting it here. Drag them down here. I'll select this one. This is my layers panel. Everything that you place on your frame comes here in the layers panel. And since my password is below my, since my password is above my username, so whenever I'll move my password to username's location, it will overlap the username, right? Wait, I'll give you another example. Um, just a minute. Yep. My rectangle 3 is above my Code City logo. So that means whenever I'll move my rectangle, it will overlap the logo. Okay. These are on different layers. I'll select this Facebook logo, select its vector and change its fill to the light gray that we used earlier. Same for the Twitter and YouTube. I'll select the vector and make it a the same light gray color. Again, an example of repetition and consistency. Yes. And I'd probably like to add a back button. Just a minute. pen tool. I have a closed figure and I'll round its corners, scale it up a bit by using shift and select this. Wait a minute. I'll select this shape. Nope. Just a minute. I'll add fill first. You can use this color picker to pick colors from your design itself. Then I'll remove the stroke and double click it. Then select this vertex and make the rounding to 0. Okay, shift it a bit. Yes, I'm keeping it aligned with my social media logos. And then I'll add a circle for the back button. By the way, I'm making this circle using my shift key while simultaneously pressing my shift key, because without shift key, it would give me an ellipse. Just a minute, I'll show you. This is it. But with shift key, it gives you a proper rounded circle. Yep. The same old gradient. This one goes orange, this one goes pink. This goes to the center. And I'll add an arrow. Okay, so I'll be zooming in using my control key and scrolling up my wheel. Scrolling up my mouse wheel and using my control key simultaneously. Yep. And one more thing, I'd like to group them so that they function as one unit. I'll select both of them using shift and then right click and then group selection. Now both of these will function as one unit. They'll be moved together. I'm zooming out using my control key and scrolling down. Okay. Now comes the fun part, where the magic begins. I'll group this login button and this login text. Yes. Okay. So what I want is that whenever my users press this login button, they shift to this screen, and whenever they press this back button, they shift to this screen. This is called prototyping, where you present the actual working version of your app, which is not coded, which is just a design, but for your developer to go through, like how the process of walking through your app functions. So I select this login button, and I'll go to prototype here, just adjacent to design. I'll go to the prototype option, and we have this dot. I'll click it and drag it to this screen. Okay, so now this gives me a prompt, and I'll add an animation of moving in downwards. Yep. And for this back button, I'll prototype it to this screen, and again moving in but upwards. Okay. Okay, so our design is ready, and I'll show you the final prototype using this play button, which is here, which presents your prototype. And just a minute. Yeah, here's our final prototype. And once I click the login button, I'll be directed to this page, which will animate from up to down because we use the move in option. And whenever I click on this back button, it will take me back to the first screen. So this was a brief discussion about Figma. You guys can try out designing on your browser itself. So that's it. That's it about Figma. You can ask your doubts in the chat.
Um, Vanshika, okay, so shall I share my screen now?
Or does anyone
Uh,
have any doubt regarding Figma?
I'm sure they all must be having some or the other doubts.
Okay, you can keep asking it in the chat whenever you feel like. Meanwhile, Prakhar will present another prototype that he made a while ago. So, Prakhar, yes, you can move forward.
Okay, so thank you, Vanchika. Before I share my screen, once I would like everyone to appreciate Vanchika ma'am. She literally made a complete design, a complete two screens design out of scratch. Even the logo was her own in front of you. So kudos to Vanchika. And now from now here on the workshop is finished. Now there's going to be some cool things, some things that everyone would like to see. So everyone please call your peers back. I know a lot of them left because yeah, seeing someone else do everything, it's a bit boring, I know, but well, that was something great that Vanchika did. So we'll start in again one or 2 minutes. Everyone needs to absorb whatever happened. Cool, cool, cool. So we are getting a lot of appreciation for Vanchika ma'am. That's great. Uh, Everyone, please call your peers until then, and we'll start with what's next. Um, just a second. So, okay. So here is the prototype to an application. The prototype. This is okay. Once everyone, please answer in the chat box. What do you understand by a prototype? I and Manchika, everyone keeps on saying a prototype, a prototype. Now I'm prototyping. Now this is a prototype. What do you understand by prototype? In the design world, what do you understand by prototype? Small presentation of a big thing by Udayan. Uh, Demo of something. Cool, cool, cool. Yeah, so you are getting it right. A non-developed working application. That's the perfect answer. See, it's there. It hasn't been coded. Whatever I'm showing you, it's all been designed. It's all been animated, but it's not being coded. There isn't, like, it's not dynamic. This is all static what I'm showing you. Even if you see animations or anything, it's still not coded. So here is an application. Here is something that we made for the Bengaluru airport. It's a complete prototype for the Bengaluru application. So I'll show this. This is the first screen, and I think you'll be a bit confused about why on Vanchika's screen it was having it had a mobile setup and everything was shown in this, and why on my screen does it have something like and it doesn't have a mobile, of course, and it's on a website. So that is because this had been made through Adobe XD. It's another software. You can see the logo around here. This was made on Adobe XD, and what Vanchika made was made on Figma. So that is, I'm saying Figma is better. You should use Figma. If you're starting, please use Figma. And if you're an XD user, switch to Figma. That would be better. Even though XD is not a bad application, but it's a bit outdated now. Cool. So let's start with the application. So here I cannot write something upon here. This is just how it should look rather than how it will work. So I'll click sign up. After sign up, it asks for my mobile number. This is also, everything has been designed rather than coded. I'll write some my phone number and I'll click next. While next, it will send some code to my phone and I'll write that and all. Cool. And then I'll select app in the airport. So I'll select Bengaluru airport here. It will come up here. Enter. Now this is a small animation that Adobe XD and Figma, every application will allow you to run. And this is the homepage of that application. So you see, I can show a web developer, I can show an Android developer that this is how you have to make the whole application. He'll take some components from my design and make the same application. This application would look good, I think. And here is the navigation bar. Everything, nothing is coded. I'm repeating it again and again. Nothing is coded. It's all designed, but it's working. Though it not in the real world, but still it's working. So let's go around and check for what we can see. There are latest guidelines, uh, So I'll show all the guidelines. This is like a 50 screen application. What Vanshika showed you was a two-screen application. She showed you a login and sign up page, just two screens she made in front of you. And this is a whole 50 complete 50 screen application prototype. So like I can go to latest bookings. These are my latest bookings. I can check for my ticket. This is my e-ticket, and I can check for the checklist here. These are a lot of things. Okay, you can write in the chat box about what feature from the navigation bar should we go to next. There are a lot of things. There are a lot of things that can go for the Bengaluru airport, and we can check any one of them. I'll wait for 10 seconds. There's home, there's profile, there's your checklist. If I don't get any answer, I'll just go with search and book a flight. I think that would be good. Cool. Anyway, I'll go with search and book a flight. There might be some lag, I think. So if I click it, there's everything is designed here. Round trip one way from where to where you want it to go. And whenever I click here, it shows me what all the things are that can be clicked. What all the things are that are functional. So I'll search flight. Now search flight to animation was made by hand. If I click here, it will be one way round trip. If I go back to the application will go back. Now if I go one way, the second date disappears. These all have to be prototyped. Now these are three of the uh, what do we say, three of the tickets around here. I'll click any of them, something will show up here, something will show up. See, everything I click, it converts to something. It goes to the next screen, it shows something. Like, see, I click proceed, now I have my seat selection area. I click checkout, now it's that my ticket has been done. So yep, that's it. And one more thing that I think was a good idea is showing weather upon this app. These all things you have to think in your own mind about how you're going to make the application. This is one of the UX research parts about how the application should work and what would be good for the application. So you can order food, you can check for the airport shops, you can book a cab, you can check the weather information too. I'll show the weather information. I'll click show weather report, and something like this would be the weather report. This is hard to code, but still, you if there's someone good who can code this, it will look amazing when it comes in the real application. So that's all about it. And okay, I'll check for the okay. Someone asked profile. Someone asked slice tool is Apple. Okay. How can we export design? Cool. So for the profile part, this is the profile. Someone asked, there is some lag, so I saw it late. Someone asked for the profile. So something like this happens when you go to the profile. Cool. And we'll provide everything that we are showing right now, all the links. See, here are all the links that we are showing right now. We'll provide this to every one of you. You can go through each and every one, the glitch side, the logo designs, the UI UX designs, the redesigns, everything. Now let's go to the last part of this session, the second last part actually. I'll show that, just a second.
Okay, Raj, we will guide you through the recruitment process for our division. And Rajvi, please share your screen.
Actually, Vanshika, just a second, just one thing I need to show, right?
Okay, sure, sure.
Cool. Thanks. I'm so sorry, everyone. I got really caught up in that application. So the last thing is motion graphics. Everything that we have been seeing up till now, it was all static. Nothing was much moving much. In prototypes, a little movement was there, but still, the there is motion graphics. Anything, any graphic in motion. That's the simplest definition that I can tell. Like this is a lot of definition written around here. I won't even read it. You read it when we give that PPT to you. Motion graphic is any graphic in movement. So there are mainly two softwares in the Adobe Creative Cloud that we use. It's Adobe After Effects and Adobe Premiere Pro. Someone please write that in the chat box. So that's Adobe Premiere Pro and Adobe After Effects. Adobe Premiere Pro is used to edit things, edit videos, and Adobe After Effects is used to edit and animate videos. A lot of things can be done on these both softwares. They both are very, very vast, just like Adobe Photoshop or Adobe Illustrator or XD or Figma. So I'll just show a small demonstration, a small video to clear out what is motion graphics. A very basic video. It doesn't have like complete animations, or it doesn't have like moving people or something. A very small and sleek definition to what is motion graphics. So just a second. In this, we'll need some voices too. Please, so please, everyone, confirm once that uh, the voice is coming all right or not. I'll share my screen. Also, please, everyone, ask your friends and peers to join in, because this is the end and they'll miss a lot. They'll miss the recruitment process part. Rajvi will be telling about the recruitment process in just 2 to 3 minutes. Please wait, and everyone call your friends. Otherwise, they'll miss the recruitment part. Cool. Now, yeah, I'll show. So here is the video. Uh, Vedant, please tell me if the voice is audible or not. Cool. So this was one of the videos that I made a long time ago as an example of motion graphic design for some company. So I hope you liked it. And yeah, that was it. That is pretty much how you define motion graphics. You see something in motion, some graphic in motion, and that is motion graphic. Okay, so Rajvi, please share your screen and tell them about the inductions, the recruitment process.
Yes. Uh, so let me present my screen. Yeah. So is it visible now?
Just a second, just a second. Actually, yep. It is visible.
Yeah. So the recruitment process. So we generally in Cyber Labs recruit through the WOC, that is the Winter of Code, and it is actually a month-long event that Cyber Labs organizes every year to recruit the students and also to help them who are starting a new journey by providing them the platform to work under the mentorship of the seniors. We generally, the second years, play the role of the mentors. And so this year it will be the fourth edition, so Method of Code 4.0 of WOC, and the details will be disclosed very soon. And thus, you will be recruited in the graphic designing division, Cyber Labs, through WOC. Yeah, so moving forward, if you all have any questions left, I hope most of the questions were answered itself in the chat box while the whole stream. But if you have any questions left, we all are here to answer it now.
Also, everyone watching, uh, please like and subscribe. It's a humble request. Please like the video and subscribe to the Cyber Lab channel, and you will be updated about everything.
Be Fantastic is Figma free platform. Yes, it is a free platform. It is a free software where you can design and prototype and do all of the designing stuff.
Okay, one thing that I forgot to mention was that Figma can be used for collaboration too. Like you can work in a team, you can make a team project. If you want, I can share my screen again. Just a minute, I'll present it. Yep. So when you move to the home page, you have this option of creating a team project, and you can give it a name, suppose XYZ, and you can add descriptions and add people, and then 3 4 of you can operate on different devices and work on the same time, same design at the same time. So that's it, by creating a new design file.
Sanju, ready? We can choose the branch of Cyber Labs. Yes, we can choose the branch of Cyber Labs we want to be in, and you'll be allowed to make the project, one single project for a division, and you'll be recruited in that division accordingly.
Uh, so, yeah, we have some further doubts. We'll be answering them. Is there okay? Is there any different graphic desk group design? No. This is Cyber Labs have 5 divisions, and graphic design is one of them. So there's not a different graphic design group. This one is the graphic design group of Cyber Labs. Can Figma be used for photo editing or only UI design? For photo editing, there are a lot of softwares. It's Adobe Lightroom, there's Photoshop. So let's just use Figma for user interaction design and UX design. Then can we make project for multiple divisions? No, I don't think so. Um, you have to choose one.
Choose the
Okay.
division that interests you the most. Then you'll be given 2 to 3 options for the projects, and then choose the project according to your interests, and you'll be recruited in the same division.
Okay. So let's wait for I think 2 to 3 minutes more, and we can end the meet for everyone. Everyone has to eat and everyone. Okay, Anaya Kulkarni will inform you about that, and be of great help if you could give some task like thing or any
Anaya
idea.
Kulkarni, as for now, there is not any different group for different divisions. It is a single group for whole cyber labs.
Arthria
Uh,
has asked, could you
uh,
say?
Yep. Atreya, you can find the projects on YouTube. You can go through the tutorials of Figma. And moreover, the details for Winter of Code will be disclosed soon. So you'll start working on your Winter of Code projects if you're interested in joining the graphic design division. Maybe you can start redesigning a particular app or site that exists, or maybe you can start cloning a design by. Yep. So you can start cloning a design that already exists, which will give you a practice of the software. Or if you want to try something new, you can start redesigning something.
Thank you, Vikas. Thank you for saying that the session was amazing. We too loved the enthusiasm from everyone, all the
Yep.
activities.
Chat was on fire completely.
Yes, thank you so much for joining. So we'll end here now. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Okay. Thanks a lot for being present.
So, if there are still any further questions, you may ask. Is there any video editing group? Video editing is not taught here. It's more about animation, motion graphics, and UI UX design. Also, graphic design is not limited up to here. Graphic design is a big thing. So, we teach everything, but not video editing yet. Um, all workshops. That's great. Very informative session, seniors. Sounds great.
Okay. Any more questions? Questions, guys? Any more doubts? Okay, Prakhar, I guess we should end it right now.
Cool. So we'll be ending the session. It was a great session. A lot of enthusiasm for your side, and let's stop the session now. Bye, everyone.
Bye bye.